I'm bored. Let's react to Melonie Mac.
Dragon Age, the Veilguard reviews are dropping. It's quite possibly the most woke game that we'll get this year, which is
Yay, the most woke game. I am totally on board. Sign me up. I am ready to play.
saying a lot considering we had the colossal failures of Concord and Dustborn, but this looks at least on par. At least, if not worse. And of course, the journalists are loving it, but what this...
Well, you say it looks on par, but you said it might be the most woke game of the year. So is it on par or is it more woke? Which one is it?
This looks like to me, and what we'll see from the actual gamers due to the reception we've seen thus far, is probably a crash and probably the downfall of BioWare. So just to give a...
I want to point this out that she put out a video after this one, which we're not going to watch, but there's one that came out today where she's talking about like fake positive reviews. It's really funny to me when they create this narrative that reviews that are positive can be faked. But when you try to say that negative reviews, like review bombing, if you say that, they'll be like, no, that's not real. People just don't like it. It's a conundrum for them.
Little context here, and I've made multiple videos about this game, right? I've talked about the top surgery scars. You know, here is a universe with magic and fantasy.
Yeah, there's this narrative that like this games or games in general can make you gay or make you trans, even though there's no actual legitimate instance of that happening. I would always say, provide me with some context. Provide me a source where we can see a handful of people who saw a gay person in a game and then became gay, specifically because they saw the gay person in that game. It's so camp to me because there's no way that's really happening. None of that makes any sense. You could say that seeing a straight person in a game makes you straight. Like, it's a weird obsession they have with this narrative that doesn't make any sense. But again, in this thumbnail, she used the idea that, oh, making people trans, blah, 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 whatever. It's so dumb.
To see. And so instead of drinking a potion or having a spell take the breast off of the character, they instead opt for
But you wouldn't care about that anyway, Melonie. Let's be clear here. Even if there were a spell or some magic ability for someone to change genders in a game, if it was done so in a way that made you feel like it was more of a modern idea, you would still have a problem with it. So you're creating cope and excuses for why you want to talk shit about trans people. It's just that obvious to me.
Elective surgery and scars because that character doesn't want to be the woman that they are. Okay, make it make sense. So this is the director of that, which, by the way, okay, here is the director of the game and what he is saying. He's trying to pretend to be a woman, but he's not. But just to give you some context of...
See, that's what I mean. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. He's pretending to be a woman. So again, it wouldn't matter if there were potions or magic that could turn someone's gender into something else. You wouldn't care about that because you just like saying transphobic shit, Melonie. It's just so obvious. It's such a tired, boring, dumbass, unintelligent way to look at media.
Of who's leading the charge on this game and what you can expect, especially if you've been on the fence not knowing if you wanted to buy it. Well, this should help answer your questions.
It makes Tosh a really special companion for me. All right, yeah, I have to talk about the steamiest romances. All I can get, for me personally, I'll just speak for me personally, but at the culmination of the romance arcs, I'd have to say Tosh.
Tosh is this thing. The whole, my face is in the way, is this thing. The queerified Kunari, which used to look really cool in past Dragon Age iterations. Kunari were like really cool looking. And now they just look...
I mean, the character looks cool to me anyway. What do you mean they don't look cool? Can you explain? Maybe you're going to explain why you don't think they look cool. Maybe I'm jumping the gun. Let's see where you go with this.
Trunified, they just look, you know, like queer Steven Universe type art style-ish, Tumblr. That's what they're going for.
Doesn't look that way to
anyway,
me.
I'll get back to this here in a minute. So anyway, that's who he is referring to when he's talking about Tosh, who identifies as a they/them.
That wasn't even really that wasn't a real criticism, I guess. It was kind of surface level. Oh, it looks like Tumblr, Steven Universe. Like, okay. It's not very deep, I guess, with Melonie Mac.
Made up gender. Okay, so here we have Smash JT, who shared this screenshot. So you got this And so Tosh here, she says, I guess she's telling them her pronouns, non-binary. I just said, and I'm going to use they instead of she from now on. So she's educating them on her new pronouns. And there's a clip that surfaced. Oh my gosh. I wish I could show you guys right now. But alas, the account, see, this was what I tweeted, but the account that posted the clip was suspended, or they deleted it or something like that. But they actually had a clip from the game of dialogue with Tosh in it that was incredibly cringe. Basically, I sum it up here, what's going on. The dialogue back and forth between Tosh, this gigantic, big-backed woman, and her companion of a twink, gay-sounding dude. So I said...
I mean, these folks overanalyze stuff way too much. Way too fucking much. It is a mental impairment. I think there's something... I'm not diagnosing them, but low-key I am. There's something mentally wrong with a lot of these people. And I've said Melonie Mac is allegedly one of the most stupid people creating content. This isn't helping your cause. You are really, really going in on this. And it looks to be like, as far as I can tell, the friends I've spoken with about this and looking at some of the numbers online, it looks like the game is going to sell pretty well. I don't know. We'll have to see. But it seems like it's going to sell pretty well.
Smug, big back, butch woman accompanied by sassy twink hype man whose entire purpose is to boost her ego. Please make this trope stop. This seems to be a thing, which I don't know if that twink dude was the character, the playable character or not, but that definitely does seem to be pretty.
So you're literally just basing this off of like speculation because you don't know. You don't have a real answer. Jeez.
Patterned in modern woke stories that portray these women in such a masculine fashion. They get these gigantic, I mean, even look at what happened with the Lara Croft.
What's funny is I saw the other day, it reminded me of how Melonie used to talk just a few years ago. Images of you praising muscular women. Literally you praising them. And because you weren't making enough money off of that, you decided to attack muscular women, which is just so crazy that like you're selling your soul for money and you pretend to be religious. It's a pathetic existence. It really is.
The Tomb Raider Netflix animation, they changed her to this giant, much more masculine woman, and they changed Zip from who previously was a masculine man. They changed him into a very sassy gay dude just to be her hype man, basically. So I don't know why that's a thing, but it's really annoying. And so here we have grass-fed, gluten-free egg who shared this, like took a screenshot from that clip. Basically just expect like they're trying to have Marvel quippy humor, and it's all very cringe. So based on the decision that they made in that dialogue, you've chosen to encourage Tosh by focusing on the benefits of a multicultural background. Of course, they've got to make everything about that, everything about woke ideology, woke politics.
I mean, it's quite possible it could just be an element of the game. Like, how is it that referencing somebody's culture at any point in any of these games, referencing their culture is immediately a stamp of wokeness? Y'all have the most paper-thin skin on the fucking planet. I swear. It's crazy. I grew up watching media that talked about diversity in all kinds of ways. Some of it negative, some of it positive, what have you. But now you mention someone's culture. Oh, they mentioned they're from Africa. Must be woke. They mentioned that they're from, Argentina. Must be woke. They mentioned they're a woman. Must be woke. It's just, I will be so happy when the internet moves on from this kind of criticism, because it's not really criticism. There's nothing to gain. There's no value to gain from anything that Melonie is saying. There's nothing. What is a developer supposed to take from that? We're not supposed to mention people's culture in our games? We're not supposed to have quippy dialogue in our games? We're not supposed to have humor in our what element of criticism, again, air quotes, what element of criticism that she's given in these 5 minutes could be applied to the game in any sensible way? Nothing. I'm going to answer for you. Nothing. There's nothing of value in her criticism here. This is her just hating on the game.
So on and so forth. So here we have Manga Lawyer, who shared this. Dragon Age: The Veilguard delivers a peak level of fantasy never before achieved in gaming history. So we have Rook, take a long, hard look in it, kid. It'll always show the face of a hero who can get it done. Establishes transgender identity and unlocks new dialogue options in future conversations.
So because it's an RPG, so your decisions are going to change the interactions you have with certain characters. So the only funny thing about this is the transgender comment in this statement. Right? Am I reading this right? That's the only thing, is it's saying that now you can have dialogue that will reflect this particular interaction. Okay.
Literally, they're putting actual transgender ideology in the game, and you can, oh dear. I mean, I already knew with some of this stuff, but
I want to point out that, again, we know Melonie Mac is a Christian, air quotes again, a Christian. So a trans person being present in something to her will always be ideology. It's always going to be ideology. And the reason why I know this 100% is, out of all the time I've been watching Melonie Mac, sometimes against my own will, I've been forced to watch Melonie Mac. No lie. I've been on streams watching Melonie Mac even when I didn't want to. She has never positively affirmated any presence of a transgender character that I can remember. And so that establishes a pattern of behavior. The pattern of behavior is she only talks negatively about trans elements in games. So that tells me that there is no level of existence that a trans character could have in a game that she would ever approve of. That means that her opinion on this subject is extremely biased and should probably be disregarded. Just to be straight up. It should be just disregarded.
wow. I didn't really take it this far. Oh dear. Okay, so that's a thing. We also have, yes, that's what also Smash JT shared there. Wow. So we have heel versus babyface, as he's hilarious. He's laughing.
He's not hilarious.
Day
He's
one
an idiot.
purchase. So we have Tosh, the big back lesbian, they them type character. And this, okay, Neve says, some of my friends in Mjölnirs talk about not feeling comfortable in their own skin. As a man, as a woman. Look at this in the replies below. Skip. Oh my goodness. Okay. Then, oh yeah, this was that scene. Come on, I should tell my mother how.
So that's interesting. You're playing an RPG with a story element, as RPGs typically have. And instead of learning about characters that are vastly different from you in their own world, you want to skip through the story because you don't want to hear about people that are different than you. That's... these people are literally some of the worst commentators on YouTube. The worst.
How Karish is doing. This was that scene that's not there anymore. But she does this gigantic, big back woman who's like, like so smug, has a smug attitude, smug humor, and you got this. Yes, they. I would say yes, girl, but instead he's going, yes, they. So of course IGN loves it, gives it a 9 out of 10. If we never get another Dragon Age, at least it got to go out on a high note with Dragon Age: The Veilguard. So basically, of course, they love it. They keep trying to push all of this queer stuff.
Well, let me see what they say in their review here. Enjoyable action combat. Has nothing to do with wokeness or diversity. A fantastic cast of allies with sweeping story arcs all on their own. Still doesn't seem like they're praising it for that. Top-notch cinematics and moving nuanced character writing are all the wings on which this triumphant dragon soars. So all sounds legit to me. If we never get another Dragon Age, at least it got to go out on a high note. I don't see anywhere in that review where they're pushing any sort of quote-unquote agenda or anything like that. They're literally just talking about the game in that little quote from their review. So I think you're just being a hater, Melonie.
And everything. Also, IGN gave Concord a 7. Let's not forget the fact that they even preface it by saying, at least if we never get another Dragon Age, they know this is the nail in the coffin. They know that people aren't going to want to play this, and they know it's cringe. They know it's just...
I want you guys to remember that, because like I said, it looks as of right now, at the time of recording this video, the Dragon Age is going to be a pretty big seller. I'm not saying it's going to be #1, but I think it's going to be a pretty big seller. I'm just curious if they're going to follow this up by trying to say they faked sales. Because at this point, they've been wrong so many times this year. I just don't even know how to calculate their wrongness at this point.
Disgusting and filled with all of this perverted ideology. So they know this also means bye-bye. And so they're trying their best to save face with that. Well, at least it was amazing. We have Eurogamer here. Dragon Age, the Veilguard is the best entry in the series. Cringe. Cringe. You know that's not better than Dragon Age Origins. You know it's not.
How do you know? Did you get did Melonie Matt get early access? I don't think she did. If she did, she'd probably be showing some footage of it. So I guess she didn't. So she doesn't know. She's just speculating based on her very biased, bigoted point of view when it comes to this game. Her ignorance. Sheer alleged stupidity. I keep saying alleged because it sounds funny to me. Sorry if it's annoying. Look, I'm excited about the game. I'm probably going to pick it up. I might not get it right away, but I think I'm going to pick it up in the next few days. I have several friends that are going to be playing it as soon as they get it this week, and they're going to play it all the way through as quickly as possible. I'm going to try and take my time with it. I'm hoping to enjoy it as much as I did Baldur's Gate 3. We'll see.
And right up there with the best of BioWare. Oh my gosh. And then we see, I'll trust Metacritic. So it leaves us with the impression that we bought the wrong title. Instead of a true RPG, we get a mediocre action-adventure game, a scenario stretched to the limit, poorly constructed world, and monotonous gameplay. Bored me to tears. I mean, here's the...
So why is one right and one is wrong? Is the right one the one that you agree with? And the wrong one is the one that you don't agree with? Is that what it is? Because the thing is, consuming media, you're going to get different opinions from different people. And unless you can prove to me that somebody is being hypocritical and has a pattern of behavior that shows that they're liars, I have no reason to believe that the reviews of people that enjoyed the game are lying about that. I have no proof of that. However, you, on the other hand, you're extremely triggered by anything diverse. You have a pattern of behavior that shows that you're extremely biased. So when it comes to stuff like this, more often than not, you're just going to go with whichever thing you think people are going to be mad at and hopefully make a little bit of money off of it. So I believe them a lot more than I believe you, including the people that might have bad reviews, as long as they're consistent with it. You are just a biased grifter.
Think this is what this is I mean, like I have made many videos about, the gaming industry has been hijacked by these woke ideas.
I will say you've got a lot of courage scrolling through Twitter with your screen on under stuff like that. You got a lot of courage. I'm going to give you that, or you're stupid, allegedly.
Ideologues and this satanic ideology, and
satanic.
They call themselves activists. And
satanic. This whole everything is so religious coded with her. Everything is so religion coded. It's wild. Satanic. You're playing games with demons in them. Like, you've played games with demons and stuff like that in it. Like, the fact that you think that a trans person in a game is demonic and satanic, but you've literally played games with demons in them, and that's okay. God, you're so fucking stupid. You're just so stupid.
And all that. And so they're activists for these demonic ideologies instead of actually being passionate gamers and caring about that kind of...
Keep in mind that this is someone that just advocated for a magic potion that changes genders. She advocated for that at the beginning of this. Well, why, if they could have a potion instead of having surgery, that would be okay or whatever. But then you're calling it all demonic and stuff. Like, you are a joke. You are literally a joke. You and a lot of the other people in your space, like the whole Hypnotic crew and everything, I cannot take y'all seriously anymore because it is literally the dumbest dialogue from you guys. So predictable, so boring, so idiotic. It's fun to laugh at. It's fun to laugh at this point. I cannot wait till this well of content dries up on YouTube. I can't wait for it.
Kind of stuff. And so they, instead of just hey, let's make a fun game and that be that, they want to insert their ideologies.
You can make a fun game with all of this in it.
Indoctrinate people. In this case, they want to try to normalize mutilating people's bodies.
Again, I need you to give me examples of people that played a game like this, say Baldur's Gate 3. Give me examples of people that played Baldur's Gate 3 or any other woke game, and they all of a sudden turned gay or trans or something like that. Give me some proof of it. Just one instance of that happening. And people in the comments, I know a lot of y'all Melonie Max stands, and my haters are going to be down there trying to deflect. If you can give me 1 or 2 articles that show that there's some epidemic of people playing video games with gay characters in them and then becoming gay themselves. If you can't show me that, then y'all are fucking liars. You're liars and you're fearmongers.
To try to pretend to be a gender that they're not. You cannot change your gender. I don't care
you can.
how badly somebody wants to do that. That is
you
not
can.
something
You're
that
wrong.
can be
You're
changed.
an idiot. You're an
You
idiot.
Are born
You're
in
wrong.
the body that God permitted you to be born.
Oh, well then I guess your body that's been desecrated with tattoos, people that wear glasses, people with prosthetics, y'all tend to forget about that. That's why everyone, say it with me, this is transphobia. It's transphobia because you apply that rule of religion to one specific community. You don't apply it to everybody across the board. Things that happen to people's bodies, and you have no issues with that whatsoever. But if a trans person or anyone for any reasons decides to do something regarding their sex or their gender, all of a sudden the floodgates open and it's satanic and it's anti-God. I'll have you know that stuff like tattoos, things like that back in the day, the minute someone saw you wearing those things in a church, you would have been kicked out of church. You would have been kicked out of church and they would not have allowed you to come in. They would have looked at you in a different way. You go back 100 years, step into a church covered in tattoos like you are, and I guarantee it would be a different situation. But you don't want to talk about that. You always deflect from that. You always try to cover that up. The reality is that it is transphobic language. I'm going to keep saying it. And y'all in the comments, you can get butthurt if you want. You can be upset. You can come at me. I am right. And all of y'all are wrong, including Melonie Mac.
In, and that's that. You can't change it. No amount of surgeries, no amount of cutting body parts off is going to change the gender that somebody is. So, yeah, they just keep inserting this garbage to try to indoctrinate people into just... I'm trying to make it real. So here we have the evolution of the Canary, as I've said before.
Again, once again, prove it. Prove that this is indoctrinating people and turning them, specifically what you're accusing it here, accusing the game of, or accusing gaming of in general. Show me a study that correlates gay people in video games are making people gay or they're making them trans. And I'm not talking about some fringe person on the internet that wrote it. I mean, actual legitimate studies that have been vetted, that have been peer reviewed, things that show that there's some sort of correlation with this. If you cannot show me that, then you are fear mongering. I want to reiterate that.
And preface this, and people have played. No, here you had, they look really cool here. And I'll say Dragon Age Inquisition, that was just progressively worse. Now in the Veilguard, they've got that Tumblr. Just very, what is it with the whole queer ideology? You can tell just by their...
It's no queer ideology. It's more AI coded. We're in a generation where AI coding is going to become more and more prevalent in art styles. I don't like it. I don't necessarily think AI coded art is very attractive. It is a tool, but I think in general, we're talking about like video games and things with a high art value. I think they should have less AI coding. That's what it's giving me. It's giving me overly filtered AI coding. But you keep trying to say it's some kind of queer. I don't even know what that means. What does that mean in your mind, in your messed up head?
Art that it was made by queer people. Like, I don't know what it is. But anyway, as always, and as I always say, hey, I ain't just trying to dunk on these people for the sake of dunking on these people, but I will dunk.
You are 100%. That's all this was. You talked for 10 minutes, almost 11 minutes, and you offered nothing of value in criticism. You literally talked transphobic about people. You talked homophobic about queer people. You talked about a bunch of nonsense that means nothing and adds nothing of value to the conversation. You're trying to make money off of fear-mongering and outrage. That's what you're doing. And until this goes away, until this type of video content goes away, I will keep calling it out. That's what we're going to keep doing. Let's continue.
Dunk on the ideologies and the evil ideologies they're pushing on people and trying to indoctrinate the world and trying to send people on a path to hell by accepting and reinforcing and placing these ideologies onto people. So yes, I will.
It's so funny to me when you talk about ideologies and you're literally a Christian. One of the biggest cult-like ideologies in the entire world. No offense to anybody if you're a Christian, fair enough. This isn't me coming for your specific reason for doing it. But yes, there's a lot of versions of Christianity that are built around a cult-like mentality. It's literally about indoctrinating people very young, taking them into church very young, and raising them up with the values of being a Christian. That is literally indoctrination. That's what that is. All of this projection you're doing is so fucking weak. It's so weak. And it's just funny to me that you don't even see it in front of your face. You don't even notice it.
Speak against it, and I hope that the people involved in this can learn that this is wrong and this is evil, and that they can turn from those ways, and that they can accept Jesus Christ and follow him.
How about no? How about fuck you? How about fuck you? F-slurring, piece of garbage. Look at that. Good reviews are fake, question mark. Yeah, because anytime something that's good, it's reviewed positively, it has to be fake, right? But negative reviews, those are always 100% legitimate. Review bombing never happens. Melonie Mac, and I say this all the time when I talk about her videos, is a garbage human being. She's a fake Christian that weaponizes Christianity and goes after people who are marginalized because she feels powerful stepping on people when they're already down. She adds nothing of value to the conversation, and I cannot wait, I'm going to reiterate this, until this kind of content is no longer sustainable financially on YouTube. I hope it happens sooner than later.